This podcast may include graphic accounts of domestic violence, child abuse, and other sensitive topics. Listener discretion is advised. Justice is a Woman is intended for informational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I would like to introduce the lovely Nina West today. Nina is an incredible musician. She started playing the piano at 3 years old. She is a published artist. She has a record label. You can find her on all platforms. She's also a multi-instrumentalist, a singer-songwriter. Nina, welcome.
Thank you.
I am so happy to have you on today. Not only are we going to talk about your amazing career, because it's quite interesting at such a young age, you've done so much already, because she's being really brave and about to talk about things that are super sensitive, experiences that happened to her, and maybe shedding light on these things. We hide them and put them under the rug, and because we do things like that, they make it okay. And it's not okay. Let's dive into your career a little bit. So you started piano at 3. That's absolutely incredible. Do you come from a family of musicians?
Yeah, so my dad plays piano and guitar and bass. And according to him, when I was about 1.5, 2, I started to sing, and I would sing certain songs in like the right key. And he went, "Yeah, you're going to be a musician." So when I was 3, he had me start playing piano. I was playing Bach by age 5, and I've never stopped. I've loved it ever since I was tiny. And now I teach piano to kids. I have a Bachelor of Music. I've got a song on Spotify called Trouble, which we'll talk about later as well. I've got another 2 songs coming out this year, and I play the saxophone. I play a bit of guitar, a bit of bass, but mostly piano, sax, and vocals. And yeah, I studied music. I did in the UK. I did grade 8 piano. I've done my Bachelor of Music as well. And yeah, now I'm really enjoying teaching.
That's incredible. Well done. Wow. You're just a maestro. That's so cool. I do not have much of a music background, but I am always in awe of people who are so musical like yourself, who can sing, songwrite, play all these instruments. It's just, I'm in awe. So awesome. I can't wait to see your career just blossom even more. And so Nina is a British Australian artist, and she has been in London for many years, and now she's in Australia for a little bit. Who knows for how long? Who knows how long we'll be able to keep you here? Let's talk about London. London has, and I've been there, and I'm, being Australian, my dad's parents are from London. I understand this British culture of very tongue-in-cheek sexuality and the boys' club. But it's very accepted, isn't it, to be at the pub drinking beer and slapping a woman on the ass and this kind of behaviour. I recall you had a first instance when you were 12 years old. Someone said something completely inappropriate to you, and at that time you didn't know what it meant, but it does get in your subconscious.
Yeah, so when I was 12, I was playing saxophone for my dad's band, and he works at a university. So we were in a university bar, and I played saxophone. And afterwards, one of the uni students, who must have been doing masters, so would have been 25 plus, came up to me at 12 years old and said, "You play the saxophone, what else can that mouth do?" Now, hearing that at 12, I had no idea what that meant, but I knew that there was something not right about it. It made me really uncomfortable. I didn't really know why until a few years later when it made sense to me. But that's an early incident that I remember.
For those who can't see and are just listening to this, Nina is gorgeous and very tall. How tall are you, Nina?
6'1", 186 centimeters.
That's incredible. That's so awesome. So Nina is gorgeous and very tall. She does get a lot of attention, and also just this incredible musician. So you could see how she gets attention, but crossing the line. And this is something, I don't know, like, how does this kind of behavior stop? And I guess it stops when it's not accepted. It's not accepted by other men. So I'm not saying that all men are bad. I'm saying those good men, can you please just step up and stop it, right? Because there is a big men's club, as we know. And so if those men can actually say, no, this is not okay, that's going to help women more. If we have more male cheerleaders stopping this kind of thing, that's going to be really our ally there, because it's not that we're man haters or anything. That's
No.
ridiculous. We're just pro good men and pro respect and decency. I mean, these kinds of things are just disgusting, right? A 12-year-old, that's just that puts a little scar in your subconscious. You don't know that felt uncomfortable. You don't know why, whatever. Then you figure out why later. And then, fast forward, Nina's working in a bar and you did share some stories about that. And it just went downhill, right? In terms of how you've been treated. So what happened there?
I started working at a bar only 3 weeks after I was raped. It was bad timing, but I was raped when I was 18. It was just before my 19th birthday, I remember. And when it happened, I originally decided not to go to the police. And then when I found out that he'd done it to multiple girls before me, I knew that he was going to do it again. So I went to the police and they were incredibly invasive. They said I wasn't allowed to be in therapy anymore because I was already in therapy for some trauma and I had anorexia during my teen years that was pretty severe. So I was in therapy for those reasons, among other things. And they said, no more therapy. And we need 2 years.
Well, why? Sorry to cut you off
No,
there,
no,
but
that's fine.
why? Why no more therapy? That's just, what was their reasoning?
The reason for no more therapy was that a therapist could train me and coach me in what to say in court and therefore make me an unreliable witness. So I was hit with a very difficult choice. Either go to therapy and heal from some of this traumatic, awful bullshit, to be honest, or no therapy, but maybe get some justice. So I went down the justice route and then my mental health just completely crashed. I was very unwell. I was actually admitted to a psych ward because things got pretty bad and I wasn't allowed any help during this whole process. They insisted on 2 years worth of my medical records, my therapy notes. They wanted all this evidence about me to make sure that I wasn't making it up. I didn't have a vendetta against this guy. But do you think they asked him for therapy notes? Do you think they stopped him from having therapy? I don't think they did. Do you think they asked him as much as they asked me? I was dragged in and out of police stations for the better part of a year. And then they threw the case out over a really small, trivial thing. And they were just like, yeah, no further action. And that's it.
Oh, Nina, this is, yet your rapist is just, he's just going around doing his own thing. Like, what? Unbelievable. There's just no words. There's no words for this. I'm so sorry. That is just horrible.
Yeah.
And just for what? For what? So he could get his jollies off for one night? For one, not even a night. How long does it take? Let's be real. Just because he decided he was going to have you and that's it. Like, it's just, yeah, there's really not much to say after that. It's just disgusting. So then what happened to him?
I obviously cut off contact with him. I'd only just met him. This wasn't like some old friend I had. What happened was one of my friends, I'm going to use her name, I don't care. Is that fine?
Yeah, whatever you like.
Can I use her name? Yeah, she's probably never
If you
going to
want.
listen to this. There was a girl called Molly who we were both friends with, and she said to me, this is during COVID, and she said, I've got this friend and he needs somewhere to stay for a week because he's been kicked out of his house, basically. Said, we have a spare room, me and my 2 flatmates. I live with 2 other girls. I discussed it with them and I said, this friend of a friend needs a place to stay for a week. He's going to pay us some money. And because it was COVID, it was hard to make money at the time. Restrictions were about to lift, but they haven't lifted yet. So we said, yeah, sure, he can stay for a week. The first day that he came, he raped me.
What the hell? He just thought, wow, you're hot. That's it. Like, I can't put all I say is these people are sick, right? They're sociopath, they're psychopaths or whatever. I remember someone saying to me about my perpetrator with everything that happened, oh, he's mentally ill. And I'm like, that just seems too kind, doesn't it? No, that's not the case. This is a sociopath. These are psychopathic people and they exist in the work I do right now, helping and consulting women. I hear it every day. These people exist. You can't just put a label on it saying he's got mental problems or he's mentally unstable. But no, there's these people who are actually completely evil inside. They're demonic inside. Yeah. I see it. It's real. And for those who don't believe and those who are listening who think this person wouldn't do that, or they're just this softness. I don't believe in being politically correct about all this. They should not exist anymore. That's it. They do something like this. I don't understand why people are so passive and it's so easy for them to get away with stuff. This is just disgusting. And then obviously he moved out, did he?
Yeah,
That happened.
so my first and my main concern was the safety of my flatmates because I thought if he's just done that to me, I don't want to put my friends in danger. Told him to go and sleep in the other room. I hadn't really processed what happened to me. I really hadn't processed it. I felt very violated, but he was very coercive and convincing me that I wanted to and I didn't. Is rape. And there, I'm not going to go into the details of it, but it was
No, we're not the police here. We
no,
don't want to interrogate you. Oh my gosh,
no,
you've
it's
gone through
okay.
enough. You've gone through enough. And so, look, the point is nothing happened to him in the end.
Yeah,
And he's not in jail and he's not being punished. That's the point, right?
yeah,
So that's disgusting. And then you went out to get a job, needed some money,
yeah,
like we all do, and a bar is an easy place to get a job, and it was probably close to home or uni or whatever. It just turned out to be a really horrible experience as well.
yeah. So I worked in a bar, but it was a football pub. So we had football matches. We were right next to the stadium. So we would get really busy. We're talking over 1,500 customers in a day. It was all these, I hate to stereotype, but the type of men that you don't really want to be around. And a lot of them were very condescending, which there's a difference between being a bit of an asshole and actually harassing someone. And they were really towing the line, I've got to say. I would get asked out all the time. I would say no, and they would still persist. If you ask a girl for her number and she says no, she means no. There's nothing else to say. I've said no, and that's the end of it. But they would push it. And there was, for example, an instance when I had a customer who was asking me profusely for my number, and I said no, and I have a boyfriend. I was seeing a guy who was working with me at the time. This guy was working on a different floor because it was like a 3-floor venue. We had 2 roof terraces. It was a really big place. And I said, I have a boyfriend. And he didn't believe me. He said, prove it. So I said, fine, I'll take you upstairs and you can meet him. So I took him upstairs, which is ridiculous because I've just told him no, that should be enough. But he would not stop
Of course.
pestering me. So I thought, do you know what? I am actually going to show you him just because I feel really stubborn about this now. So I take him upstairs, disturb my then not really boyfriend. He would go along with it because he knew I needed it. And I was like, this is my boyfriend. And the guy said, oh, you're a really lucky man. And I thought that was the end of it. So I went to leave via the staff staircase round the back. He follows me, opens the door because there's a code on the door, but he grabbed the door before it shut. So I opened the door with the code and I thought I'd be safe. Open the door. He comes after me, opens the door, tries to kiss me at the top of the staircase. He trapped me, put his arm out. So I was literally like trapped in a corner and he tried to kiss me and I pushed him off. And I said, I have a boyfriend. And he said, oh, don't worry, darling, I'm married.
Yeah, that's just disgusting.
Yeah.
I feel like calling his wife.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
wish.
seriously, I don't get it. I don't get it. What is going on? How is this acceptable? I wonder, let's backtrack. Like, I wonder, look, we don't need to be in the psychology and get into the head of these disgusting people, but at the same time, it's like, how do we stop this pattern of abuse, right? This is sexual abuse.
Yeah.
This is sexual assault. So how do we stop this pattern? And, early intervention, you work with children and it's early intervention. Good men should stop this early with their sons, with their toddlers. This just went on for years because you're, first of all, 12 years old, someone says something completely inappropriate. There's probably other things along the way. Then you get raped. Nothing comes of it 2 years later after being harassed by police and what have you, and you're seeming like this crazy woman. What advantage do you have? And this is what I think when I work with the women I work with now. What advantage do you have to calling this stuff out? You don't. You get interrogated over and over. There's no advantage for a woman to say, I got raped or I'm being harassed or there was domestic violence or whatever. There's no advantage to it. It's costs us our mental health. It costs us our sanity. The women that I work with now, some of them have been going through things for many, many years. And I think, my gosh, after phone call with them, and I realized this poor woman is losing her mind.
Mm.
She has been harassed and tormented for so long. She's losing her mind. In some ways, you were very lucky that you'd be able to have an outlet for your music because one of your songs is about the rape that's live now, isn't it?
Mm.
So in a lot of ways you could do that. But that has taken a toll on you, all of this harassment over the years, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. As someone who was already vulnerable, I'd already been through a lot of shit by that age before it even happened. I was holding it together with like tape and glue, and I had this therapist who was helping me, but I was still very unwell. And for this to happen, and then they take away my therapy, which is the only thing keeping me. Yeah, do you know the actual process of reporting it, what they put me through was more traumatic than what happened to me, and that should never be the case.
No, never. And then working in the bar, there was another instance, wasn't there? You mentioned something about some photographs and how this person coerced you and manipulated you.
So the bar that I was talking about before, I moved to another bar directly across the road, which was a mistake because it was all the same customers. It was just across the road. So I don't know why I thought it was going to be better, but I had a female manager, so I thought female manager, she's going to understand, she's going to be great. She does jujitsu. It was an Irish bar ran by Brazilians. And I thought, female manager, I'm going to do fine here. The assistant manager, I'm not going to use his real name just in case. I'm going to call him Miguel. It's not his real name. Miguel, after I'd been working there for a little bit, he started to flirt with me and he started to text me and call me princess. He basically love bombed me, said all this stuff to make me feel good. He knew exactly what he was doing. He manipulated me. He would text me, "Good morning, princess. How are you? My beautiful girl," blah, 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 blah. It wasn't long before he started to hit on me at work. And then he kissed me a couple times. I was only 20, maybe 21, and he was 43.
Didn't he have a family?
He did. Two
He's married?
Yeah, so he had two daughters, and he told me that he was divorced, but I found out from one of the customers that he was actually still married.
But this was after the fact you found out.
Yeah, I found out afterwards. I had no idea at the time. One morning, he texted me, "Good morning, princess," blah, 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 and we were having a conversation. That day, I go into work, and my manager says that she needs to talk to me. She pulls me aside, and see, by this point, I've become friends with her. I know her quite well. Something was clearly off with her that day. And she said, "This has never happened before. I have no idea how to handle this." And I said, "What's the problem? We'll work through it together." And she said, "Miguel has accused you of sexual harassment." And I was like, "What?" Yeah, the 21-year-old is harassing the 43-year-old. That sounds about right, doesn't it? What the fuck? I was so gobsmacked. I was like, I have a million texts from him. I have texts from him this morning. I literally pulled up my phone and I was like, here is a text from him 3 hours ago calling me princess and beautiful and baby. I am not harassing this man. But before he reported me, he'd pressed me and what's the word? Coerced me into sending him photos. They weren't fully nude, but they were just like in a bra or like in my undies. And he was like, "I want to see you, da 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 da. Send me a picture, send me a picture, send me a picture." And I was like, "Yeah, what the hell?" Because I was 21. I didn't know any better.
He'd
Basically
already
groomed me.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. He'd already made you feel so special and you were feeling
Yeah.
like really floating on air. This guy, he's divorced, but he's cute, he's older, he's a man, you're 20. I get it. It makes sense. You had sent those pictures and then now he is accusing you of sexual
Harassment. He was saying that I had been harassing him and texting him loads and sending him photos that he didn't want to see. And so I turned around and showed her all the texts from him saying, "Send me a photo." Because you have to be pretty dumb to report someone for sexual harassment when there are so many texts. This is all on WhatsApp. So, he couldn't delete it or unsend it or anything. I had so many texts from him. I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. But, there were no consequences for him. None. There were no consequences for him. He didn't get in trouble at all. But me, I got treated like shit for the rest of the time I worked there. Because he was a manager, he made my life hell. He would make me do all the scut work. He would make me do all the cleaning. He would make me do all the hard work. And he would really treat me badly and say awful things about me.
Here's the funny thing about this is that people would judge you and they would say, well, why didn't she quit? Or why didn't she tell her father or her mother? She stayed there, so she obviously liked it. But no, think about it. You're 20 years old. You feel shameful. Usually you feel embarrassed. You don't want to tell people. You're not going to tell your dad. That person makes you feel like you're also to blame because you were involved in it. You got sucked in. They manipulated you to be sucked in, but you did get sucked in, and so you're playing along with it, right? So there is a bit of, oh, maybe it's part of my fault, or maybe I did something wrong, and there's the victim there,
Yeah.
and the victim does all kinds of strange things, as we know. As a victim, we do things that are really out of character for our normal strong self. When we're not in a victim mode, we can think clearly, but when we're in that state of mind, we can't. It's impossible. No one can. And yet we get blamed for that because we must have done something that brought it on, right? Oh, well, Nina was born beautiful and tall and gorgeous. It's her fault. Really? Come on,
Yeah, I know.
right? The insanity of it. The insanity. She's talented, she's gorgeous, she's tall, she's just, my gosh, we should harass her. That's
Yeah,
just
I know.
an open ticket. No. It's almost like you have to walk around with a bodyguard. Why should it be like that though?
Yeah,
It
I know.
shouldn't. Back to this, like, how the hell are we going to stop this? And it just has to be, it's enough. There was a Me Too movement, just disappeared.
Mhm.
What was the other? There was the Me Too movement, and then there was something else after that.
Have you heard of Talk to Angela or Ask for
No.
Angela? So there's this program, it's in the UK, it's also in Australia, where if you're in a bar and you feel unsafe, maybe you're on a date, it's not going very well, maybe you're with a guy who's being aggressive, whatever it is, if you go to the bar and you ask for Angela, they will know that's code for I'm in a dangerous situation. They'll take you aside, like round the back or to the staff area or something. They'll call you a taxi and make sure that you get home safe, and they'll call the police or handle it however you want to handle it. So that's something that it's an initiative that's been going on for a few years now.
That's really good. That's amazing. More people need to know about this. So I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah,
And every bar, if people know about this,
yeah, every bar
it's
knows
a
about
common
it.
thing.
Yeah, and you
Okay.
might see it on the back of the bathroom door in some of the stalls.
Amazing. I don't really go to bars, so I guess
Yeah,
that's why I
true.
haven't seen it. Going back to the Me Too movement, because men did get upset, boohoo, about the Me Too movement. I don't know if you recall, but because they
Oh,
did
I
get
recall.
upset, there was, yeah.
Yeah.
As a woman, I think we all recall.
Yeah.
But because of that, there was like what was it? There was a hashtag like Me Too as well or something. It was really corny, like Men Matter Too, or I don't know. They coined it off the Me Too movement. Do you remember?
I remember the boys will be boys.
There was something else, and I remember even seeing women hashtag it and post about it. I'm like, okay, really? Let's women support women. Hands down, full stop. Come on. I've always been pro women. I was always had a very feminist outlook. Women just need to support women. But men support women. There's, like I said, there's a lot of good men. There actually are a lot of good men who will support women. Those men get some balls, grow some balls, do stand up. There is that boys' club, even as young teens. We were talking about earlier before we went on. There's that show called Adolescence.
Yeah.
That's about these teens, right? They're getting egged on. There might be some good boys in those groups, but because of the one boy who's a bad egg and manipulates the others, and then they do terrible things to these poor
Yeah.
teenage girls. It starts as early as that. It starts as early as toddlers. I see it at the toddler phase. Nip it in the butt right away. If you were to look back at yourself now, let's look at some young teens have gone through something like you have or could avoid that. What kind of advice would you give young Nina? You're still young.
Younger
What kind of
Nina.
advice, younger Nina, what kind of advice would you give younger Nina?
I'd probably take her by the shoulders and shake her and say, this is not normal. Don't settle for this bullshit. Don't let men treat you this way, because this is not how it's meant to be. Speak out, be loud about it. Be loud, be proud. Obviously not proud of what happened, but proud that you can speak about it, because these men get away with these things because they do it in the shadows. They're opportunists. They don't do it in front of other people a lot of the time. It's all secret and behind closed doors. Talk about it. Talk about it, because it's not a normal thing. Tell someone that, you know, is going to help you, because once you get desensitized to it, when I was working in that bar, I started working there just after my 19th birthday, and it would get really busy. And there was more than one occasion where I'd be walking through a crowd, like really busy crowd, quite like sardine packets. And I'd be walking through and I would just feel someone slap me on the ass. And I had no way of knowing which one of these hundreds of men that are around me. I had no way of knowing who it was. So I would just have to get along with my day and act like it hadn't happened. But those things, they slowly chip away at you, you know? And I just wish that I had known that wasn't normal. Managers I worked with were amazing. Some of them were awful. And the ones that were awful were really quite bad. I mean, one of them, he would say to me, that's just part of the job. It's just part of the job. And if you can't do that, then you can't work in this industry. But harassment and sexual assault are not part of any job.
Absolutely not. You're not working in a strip club where men are paying to touch you. That's something someone signs up for. There's nothing wrong with that job because you're signing up for that. That's what you are saying, this is okay. That's different. This is not a strip club. This is not a brothel. It's a bar, right? Where people could just go have drinks and watch sports and should be appropriate. That makes me think of Amy Schumer. And she said, I love her. She's so funny. She comes up with the funniest stuff. But this is very true. It's funny because it's true. The thing that men are most scared of in life is being ridiculed.
Yeah.
Let's just think about that for a second. They're not scared of being beaten up. They learn how to beat everyone up when they're little boys. They're not scared of being raped. Men don't get raped. Okay, so someone's going to say to me, no, don't say that. They can. Okay, they have to get aroused. So let's be real. But women, it's being raped. It's being abused. It's being murdered.
Yeah.
Men don't think about that. They think about their reputation and how they look and people treat them.
I've heard women are afraid of being raped. Men are afraid of being accused of being raped. There's a massive difference. Men are scared that, oh, it might ruin my career. Women are scared it's going to completely ruin and derail their lives. Like the trauma after being raped can be so much. It can completely derail your mental health entirely.
Talking about, say, ruin their career or something, that was what was threatened to me when I was doing my restraining order. It was threatened to me, be careful what you say in your affidavit because it could ruin his career. So what did I do? I felt bad. I thought, okay, at that point, I'm still really in my victim mode and I'm still feeling really awful about everything that's been going on. I'm right in the middle of it. And I didn't put everything in my affidavit, which really hurt me later, made me look like a hypocrite because I was warned, you sure you want to do this? Just write just enough, just so that you can get the restraining order, but don't put everything in your affidavit because remember, it's public record. And in the United States, it is public record and it could ruin his career. So I was worried and I felt bad for him because I might ruin his career. Not that, oh, he had abused me physically multiple times when I was pregnant and verbally abused me nonstop, not all of that stuff and all that evidence. I was scared to ruin his career and his reputation. So then I pussyfooted around and didn't put everything in, and then it hurt me later. And so women are conditioned to not want to hurt other people, even our perpetrators. Even to the point when we're victims, we still feel bad. And I hear this all the time from women on my consulting calls. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want something bad to happen to him. And I say, are you his attorney?
Yeah.
Like, who are you? Excuse me, you don't want something bad to happen? He has done XYZ. He has been doing this for you for years. He is doing this to your child. This and this has happened. You have evidence. What do you mean you worry about him and what's going to happen to him? Let's not think about him. Let's just say everything. And let's, like you said, be loud and bold. And let's not worry about the other person. Let's be really loud about everything. So anyone listening who actually may be going through any legal stuff, if you are doing an affidavit right now, please be loud and please be bold, like Nina says, because look, that is the only way to win. Do not be shy. Do not think about your perpetrator and what may happen to them. Do the right thing. And I'm so proud of you, Nina, even though you did go through that hell for that couple of years, you put justice before yourself and your own mental health. I applaud you. That is so brave and so amazing. Look, it didn't come out the way in the end. A lot of women don't win and get the outcome they want. And I say win meaning get justice. It's the way you put everything together. The whole thing is very strategic to make justice prevail. There's a lot of things about it in the end why it didn't work for you. I think with the right team and the right strategy, justice will prevail. I solemnly believe that.
I do think the UK system is particularly messed up and there's a lot of flaws in the system. I wasn't allowed a lawyer. I was only allowed an independent sexual violence advisor who would be in between myself and the police, so that when the police were asking me all these invasive questions and asking me my medical records and my therapy notes, my ISFA, independent sexual violence advisor was saying, hang on, you can't ask her for that for a guy that she met yesterday. I just met this guy and you want 2 years worth of my therapy notes. Like, my therapist said no, the ISPA said no. I had no idea. I was just going along with what they said, because in the beginning I was just like, this is the police. We have to trust the police and trust that they know what they're doing. They don't have a clue. Less than 1.6% of cases in the UK are proven to be false allegations, but the rate for incarceration is so low. And something like 80% of cases get chucked out because there's just not enough evidence. It's he said, she said. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If a man's actions are going to ruin his career, that's because the consequences of his own actions are biting him in the ass. It's so simple. If you don't want to go to prison, don't do the crime. If you don't want the consequences of your actions, maybe don't rape people. It's not that hard to not be a rapist. It's really not.
I'm sorry for laughing, but yes, it's that simple, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
really that simple. My goodness, it is really insane. I don't even know what to say much about that. It's just crazy.
The bar is so low for men. The bar is so low. It's, if you're not a rapist, if you're not someone who's actively abusing women, then you're a great guy. But that's not how it worked. My ex-boyfriend, who, when I was having an abortion, which was, I had a complicated abortion, I was in a lot of pain, and I flew to Australia to visit. I was living in London at the time, but I was visiting in Australia, and I was in absolute pieces. And he texted me and said, "This is really hard for me. I need some space." As if I wasn't on the other side of the world having an abortion without him, as if he didn't have the easiest job in the world, which was to text me maybe once a day and check up on me. That's all he had to do. I didn't expect anything else from him, but he was like, "This was really hard for me. Are you bleeding profusely out of your penis? I don't think that you are, so maybe shut up."
Imagine if a man actually just started bleeding out of his penis. What would he do? What would he do?
And he'd probably crave chocolate and a belly rub.
A heated wheat bag.
Yeah. Have you seen those? There's these things, it's period pain. They're like these sticky pads that you put on your stomach, and it shows you period pain. So there's like a 1 to 10. And if you put it on level 1, it's like really subtle. If you put it on level 10, it's like extreme pain that you get with like endometriosis kind of pain. There's all these videos on YouTube of guys trying them out, the little stickers on their stomach.
Yes, I have seen it.
Even getting to 6 is admirable. Like, they just can't hack it. And I'm like, this is every single month for like most of my life that I have to put up with this shit. And you know when guys say that thing where they go, "Oh yeah, but being kicked in the balls hurts more." Do you get kicked in the balls consistently for 10 days out of every month? No, you don't. So shut the fuck up.
I just think things need to change big time, big time.
Yeah.
I just think the answer is everyone standing up. Both men and women need to stand up. And like you said, just be loud and bold.
Look at the Cheeto that's running the United States. I cannot wrap my head around this. He's a predator. He's harassed so many women. He's literally, what did he say that thing about grabbing women by the pussy? He's running the States.
It is such a sexist country. I could not believe how sexist it is. They will not have a woman president.
I wish it wasn't like this. Kamala didn't stand a chance. It's such a sexist country.
It's very sad. I saw it through the court system. I couldn't believe the stuff I was seeing. As a woman, you go in disadvantage. There was another episode where I've interviewed an attorney. I said, "What is some of the hardest cases that you've dealt with?" And she said, "When a woman walks in my office, I know that we're already disadvantaged." And that's it. Being a woman. Being a woman, you're disadvantaged. The United States is really tough with women. It's just such a sexist country. So I don't know as much about London.
It's pretty sexist, I would say. I was in this echo chamber. There was just so much misogyny going on. I was around the worst types of men a lot of the time. Don't get me wrong. I loved a lot of things about that job. I loved being a bartender. I loved meeting new people. I loved making new friends. I'd have regular customers that would come in every day to see me. There were customers I would see more than I saw my own family. Like, I would see them every single day. They were alcoholics, so it was a bit sad, but that's not the point. They were great people. They'd come in and they'd sit by the bar and they'd be like, "How's your music going, Neen's going well? How's uni? How's uni?" They were nice guys, some of them. That almost made up for the amount of guys who would come in and would just be absolutely horrendous to me. This time when I was serving during COVID and I had to do table service, and they were this group of lads, they were getting drunker and drunker and drunker, and it got to a point where I bring over a tray of drinks and I lean over to put the drinks down on the table, and one of them tried to slap me on the ass, but he grabbed my crotch to the point where I couldn't go to work the next day because I was still in so much pain from what he had done, from him actually physically injuring me down there. I was like, I can't go to work because I could barely walk. It was horrific. I had to go to hospital and get looked at. It was really bad. This was told to me that it was just part of the job. And I was like, no, it should not be part of the job that someone hits me that hard that I can't go to work the next day.
No, it's not. I remember back in the day when I went to lots of fancy Hollywood parties, and a lot of people sign up for being promiscuous and what have you, but they sign up for it. They go off with the guy, or they go to the bathroom and they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. They're signing up for it. This is different. If you don't say yes and you don't sign up for it, it is no. It's as simple as that. What happened to the Me Too movement? Back to that. Like, it just disappeared, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It didn't last long,
Just flat.
unfortunately.
Flatlined. That's sad.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your writing. Are you putting this in your writing?
Yeah, so the song that I have out on Spotify is actually about the guy who raped me. The lyrics are, you took away a piece of me, you changed my life, my reality. And it's all about how he didn't realize that anything had gone wrong. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong. The next day, when I had told him, I let him sleep in the other room. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next day, he came out of his room and I said, I need to talk to you. He came in and I told him, last night you raped me. He was, no, you wanted it. And I said, no, I didn't. I told you no multiple times. And he said, I knew you wanted to fuck me from the look in your eye. It doesn't matter what you said. Like, you wanted it. Like, you were just playing hard to get. And I was like, nah, I told you no.
You told him no. You said no multiple times.
I know multiple times. And he still went ahead and pinned me down. So I was like, you pinned me down. How can you think that's in any way consensual? It's just not. And he said, oh, but you wanted it. He said, I could tell from the moment that you looked at me, the moment you opened your door, the moment you looked at me, I knew you wanted to have sex with me. What planet are you living on? I opened my front door to a stranger and you immediately think that I want to fuck you. Are you serious?
I guess the women that he's done this to before believed him. A manipulative story that now that you're supposed to believe that?
I don't know what got into his head. I don't know if he's a big fan of Andrew Tate, maybe. Those kind of men are really dangerous. Do you know about Andrew Tate?
Tell me about Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate, he posts a lot of videos on social media talking about business ideas and why he's such a successful businessman. But then he also posts a lot of videos talking about how a woman is my bitch and all this stuff about, he makes jokes about rape, and he's actually currently been charged for sex trafficking in Romania. He's done some awful shit, really, really abhorrent stuff. He says a lot of messed up things about women. And then these young boys, they go on Instagram and they see these videos of him talking about women. And he's, a woman's only good to clean my house and to fuck me when I wanted to fuck me. And he says all this like insanely misogynistic stuff. And he was still allowed a platform for a really long time. I'm pretty sure he was charged with rape and sexual assault, but I know for a fact he was charged for human trafficking in Romania.
They blocked him. They deleted him.
I'm pretty sure that he's no longer on Instagram, but you can still find videos of him if you want to.
Well, no, thank you.
Yeah, no.
I do not want to find them.
I don't think you'd enjoy his content.
No, I don't think so. He probably had a big following.
Oh, it's huge.
People like this. People like this stuff.
Mm.
People like following this. It's disgusting.
It really is.
Let's talk about your career again.
I'm only 23. I'm giving myself some time. The music industry is really hard as a woman. It's quite a sexist industry. I mean, I remember when I was studying music, I would meet people and they would go, oh, you study music, so you must be a singer. Like, they just automatically assume that I'm just a singer. Now, there's nothing wrong with being the singer. You know, just the singer is fine. But I've been training as a classical and jazz pianist since I was 3. Like, I have literally worked my whole life as an instrumentalist. Yes, I can sing, but I'm an instrumentalist first and foremost. And they would just assume, everyone, oh, you must be a singer, so you're a singer, because I was a girl. And it was so frustrating. At music uni, there was two groups. There was the singers and then there was the instrumentalists. They're completely different entities. They would group me, they'd put me in a box. You must be a singer because you're a girl. Actually, no, I'm the only keys player in my year. By the end of first year, I knew everyone because I was the only person that played keys for every band. It was great. Early on, they'd be like, oh, you must be a singer. Actually, I'm the only keys player that you know.
Amazing. That's amazing. Well, you have a bright future ahead of you. I'm so excited for you. You've got 2 new songs that you're working on right now.
Yeah. I've got 2 new songs that I'm working on at the moment. It's about the guy who I had the abortion from, and get that song out because he deserves to feel like shit. I hope that he hears it and he knows it's about him.
Well, you've got a lot of material.
Yeah.
What kind of help do you get?
I go to therapy once a week. That helps. She gives me tools to manage my complex PTSD, which is what I was diagnosed with a few years ago. The difference between PTSD and complex PTSD is that PTSD is just from one event or one particular trauma, whereas complex PTSD is multiple different traumas that are unrelated and you're dealing with all of them. But it's a completely different kind of treatment because you're not just dealing with one awful thing that happened. There wasn't just one time where something happened to me, it was a lot over a long period of time. She's helping me with tools to manage my PTSD, to manage things that I struggle with, like flashbacks and nightmares, to manage anxiety. It's a very long road, but I am getting there. And I'm definitely a lot better than I was maybe a year ago.
That's really good. Sounds like you have some good help and lots of material for lots of new songs.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving forward, they can be out of your imagination and not out of real life.
Yeah, that would be great.
That would be better. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for being so brave to talk about these things because it's really difficult, and shedding some light and maybe making other people feel not so alone that these things do happen, and not sweeping them under the rug and saying they didn't happen when they did. Let's just be loud about this and don't be shy to talk about it. These things happen, and they happen a lot. These things happen every day to women, and they shouldn't. And so let's be loud and stop it. And both men and women need to stand up and stop it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Next time when we talk to you, you'll have all these wonderful songs out that we can listen to.
That would be
Nina
great.
is an incredible artist. So follow her on all platforms, and I will also post where to find her. Thank you again. And thank you everyone for listening.